Kia ora, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm sitting here with my friend,
Ma'ole Faletolu.
and we hope you enjoy this episode. Making it happen.
Slaps.
What's happening, man?
Nothing much, bro. Nothing much. Yeah, man, just chilling, bro.
Chilling. It's good to have you in.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Been wanting to do this for a while, but it's one of those weird things where because we're with the boys, you play rugby, and then we come on this and talk about it. It's kind of scary because you're gonna get to know each other so well, but then when other people hear it, you're like, should I put my story out there? 'Cause we only come in as rugby players.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, whole different space.
Yeah,
but it's cool. It's cool.
And you have to properly share stuff about you.
Yeah.
100%. But first, before we get started, now this is the first thing I noticed about you, and we'll say it now because this is an audio experience for a lot of people, and they're probably going to be listening and be like, what's happening here? But, so you've got a bit of a stutter?
Yeah. So I developed a stutter when I was maybe 10 years old, and I think when I was maybe from 10 to 15, I could hardly talk at all.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what made me a bit introverted, because I didn't talk, so I didn't really talk to anybody. Just stayed quiet to myself and only talked around home. Yeah. Really, yeah.
Did you do anything? So when you noticed that it was happening, did you do anything to help correct it?
Nah. So a big thing, because I have real island parents, and
yeah, true.
And I'm also raised by my grandparents. So when I developed the stutter, a lot of them, my grandparents and my dad didn't really believe it was a thing.
Really?
Yeah. So or they did, but whenever I would stutter, my nana would always look at me and be like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm just trying to be, just trying to have a convo." But I'll get heaps of people coming up to me. I remember a mate of mine in year 8. He came up to me at the end of the year and he said, "Yeah, when I first met you, I really thought there was something wrong, with you, that you couldn't even talk, or that you were there was something really, really wrong with you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, I guess."
Yeah, but do you notice? Because it was funny that you said that with island parents, but some parents in general, when people talk about anxiety or when people talk things that you can't see, and you're like, what? Just stop doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
So and then it's funny because when it would happen, they're probably telling you to not do that, and then you'd stutter more.
Yeah.
You're
What? Bro, the amount of times White Sunday is the worst time of year for me. I have so many White Sunday stories of me just sitting there frozen, and me trying to say my line, and I look up and my parents are staring at me, and I remember I had one short line, and it took me 30 seconds to say. Yeah. And the whole White Sunday, because I go to a massive church, and everybody was just sitting there looking at me, and I was like, "Oh, this is why I'm not the main character. This is why I don't get picked."
So I mean, we'll stay on that because with it, it's something that you've had for a while now, over 10 years of your life, and there's nothing that you could really do to correct it, or at the time, it's not something that your parents are we need to go seek help for this because he'll just grow out of it, or he'll stop doing it. Yeah. But do you notice when it comes on more?
Yeah. So there are times of the year where it would kind of be all good, be okay, be fine, and then there are other times of the year where I could just barely talk again, and it's just kind of reverting back to that stage, to that square one where I'm like, okay, I'll just kind of take a break for myself now. I think a lot of it kind of reflects my thinking and how the way and just I think my mood as well. If I'm stressed or real down in the dumps, that's when it kind of would happen, just because my thinking and my brain's not kind of straight, and so that doesn't make my kind of talking straight. And it's pretty funny, but I don't know, I've grown to kind of appreciate the stutter, just because with everything that I say, I kind of always have to think about what I say before I do it. So with even though the stutter came with even though it kind of held me back from getting some main character White Sunday roles. It comes with, everything comes with the positive, so I always look to that, and I don't know, I
think the first couple of times that I met you, and it might have been at training or a few times where we'd do a drill, and then we'd be going for feedback, and because we're so exhausted and tired but trying to give feedback, and I just remember that's where I first noticed it, it was all the times we were getting tired, it would start coming out again,
and I'm getting tired heaps, just so these people know.
No, that's cool, and I think being aware of it, and then now you're aware of it, but internally when it is happening, because it's been so long, do you notice when it does happen? or is it like is it so normal now that?
Yeah, actually, it's actually a good question because eventually, like after maybe 5 years, I didn't even notice I was stuttering.
Oh.
And there was and we had like voice recordings for like assignments. Like my first year of an assignment, I took a multi paper, the speech one.
Yeah.
And one of them we have to say we have to record our voice, saying like the names of places,
Yep.
but obviously in Te. And man, I sat there on the computer, and it took me 3 hours to get one clean one. And once I go back on it, it's just full of stutters.
Really?
And I didn't even notice that I was stuttering, but like sometimes I would, and especially during that assignment, I just broke down because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like this was just on a laptop screen, like nobody facing me, just me saying it into a mic, and yeah, I literally just broke down. This was the PI center, the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only me in the building, and I just broke down because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just didn't hand that assignment in.
Damn. Wow, that's big. Yeah, but like, it's weird how if you get the right circles and stuff like that, it's just fine. Like,
yeah.
With
100%.
the right people all of the time, you even forget that stuff exists until you meet new people,
Yeah.
and then they remind you that it was a thing.
Yeah, so like especially going to rugby, I remember our coach was always telling me to talk more and to take more of a leadership role, and I'm like trying to talk, but it's just not coming out. So I just stay quiet the whole time. The whole time I'm just quiet, and I just because there's no point in me talking, because if I talk, then it'll take like 30 seconds for some constructive criticism to come out, and then it just takes too long.
Yeah, far out. Yeah, and we'll get to the stories about rugby and you in particular soon.
Yeah.
But you talked about being raised by your parents and your grandparents, and you know that's from a very strongly cultural family as well. So for your upbringing, like just give us a general overview.
So my papa's a minister, and when I was first born, maybe the first 3 years of my life, I was raised by my grandparents, and even just like growing up here in Dunedin, my parents would always take me up to my parents would always take me up to my grandparents' house, just because like my grandparents kind of acted as my parents for the first few years of my life, and and culturally it was cool. Like growing up, I didn't really speak English. I only spoke really Samoan until I got the stutter. And when I got the stutter, it kind of like it was like an ultimatum. You know, you either have English or Samoan, and you know, to survive in this world, I guess.
Yeah.
And my brain can't handle more than 2 languages, so I was like, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for my grandparents and my parents. Just like I think just the cultural values that they've installed in me has kind of laid like a nice foundation for like me to kind of blossom and grow from. And like those guys are 4 big pillars in my life that I always look to. And it was actually really cool. I really love my culture, and shout out to Tō Samoa for winning the weekend or yesterday. I'm so happy today. Won, and I'm just like real proud to be Samoan, and just just the Pacific Island in general.
Yeah, being Samoan, like, was this something? Because I guess it sounds like it's something that you've always kind of been proud of, and know like a privilege to have grown up in it. But you know, when you meet people who come to university, and that's when they start to realize like how important it is to like have an understanding of their cultural roots. So for you, did you know the inherent like value of growing up in it, or was it something that hit you later when you got older?
It's definitely something that hit me later when I like maybe my first 2 years of uni. I took a look around, and I was just I kind of just I didn't compare my kind of upbringing to others, but in a way I did. And in a way it kind of made me more grateful that I was brought up with those cultural values and those and my grandparents. Like they made it so much easier to just kind of walk through life like holding like like knowing that I kind of come from and I stand on the shoulders of giants kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Like that's kind of that's kind of where I take my pride in, and that's kind of when I first came to uni, that's when I realized that they have helped me kind of become this person. Now it's time to go out and
that's cool. And I've always tried to figure out like where you actually spent majority of your upbringing, because we had that the first time we spoke, we were like talking about where we went to school and stuff. And then I was like, you went to Karori, like no one goes there. And then we went to the same primary, but then like hearing, I'm like, wait, are you from Dunedin and moved? Like, how did that all work?
So my first 10 years was in Dunedin. Then I moved up for year 6, but I skipped year 6 because I moved up and they told me that I couldn't do year 6, so I skipped year 6 on my age, on my birthday, because I'm early born.
Yeah.
And so I skipped year 6 and I went straight to year 7. And I went to Newlands, and then I went to Corey West, and then I went to Dubsy.
Yeah.
But I also lived in London for a year, and I lived in Japan for 2 or a year and a bit.
Yeah, and that was that because of your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the London one was because of my mom,
right,
and the Japan one was because of my dad.
Yeah. So, do you want to give a quick rundown of how?
So my dad's a rugby coach, and in Japan he coached a high school team where Japan, like back then, was kind of just developing their rugby. And rugby's like becoming a massive thing in Japan.
Yeah.
And and then we also lived in London because my mom's a social worker.
Yeah.
And so she got a job offer in London, and and the stories of her in London is crazy. It's a crazy place out there. Happy to be in New Zealand.
How old would you have been when that was happening? Like really young?
I was we had my sister's 5th birthday in London, so we did. So I would have been like 7-ish.
Yeah.
And it would have taken me to 8 maybe.
Yeah.
And then, but when I was living in Japan, I was really young.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe 2 to 3, and then I came back down and lived with my grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now something you said before when we were off air, when you were talking about your dad, and like obviously me knowing your dad through rugby as well.
Yeah.
What would that have been like? Like, have you ever spoken to him about that? Because like himself, so this is like 2... in terms of strength of English, and that's probably the medium that we're gonna like communicate in.
Yeah.
Do you know how? Did he ever talk about that?
No. He doesn't talk about it, but my mom does.
Yeah.
So my mom's like his PA.
Yeah.
Just in just in all walks of life kind of thing, and but when he's on a call with his Japanese friends, it is the most funniest conversations because they say maybe like 3 words that they both understand, but they have like the greatest conversation of all time. Yeah. Like they'll like sit there and laugh for ages, but only understand half of what the other one is talking about. And I find that so funny. But because they both have broken English, it's like it kind of somehow works.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I always think about that, like how some people who are friends, like really good friends, but the English that they use is so broken, but they like still talk so much. How is this all working?
I don't know. It works. It works because it's actually funny as when you think about it.
Yeah, and now as everyone who goes to Dub C, they are very staunch in their Dub C, and like something that never leaves them. Like for the rest of their life, that's just them, and they'll always congregate with each other and talk about how it's one of the greatest schools. Yeah. But what was your were you always going to go there?
As soon as I moved up to Wellington, yes.
Yeah.
I had no other choice. I actually wanted to go Rongotai when I first moved up to Wellington.
Right.
I wanted to go up to Rongotai because I had some church cousins.
Yeah.
And so that was the main reason I wanted to go Rongotai. But then my parents sent me to Dub C, and I'm forever grateful for it. Just because obviously what you said before, staunch Dub C boy. Yeah. And I will kind of wear that on my sleeve, for the rest of my life. And I love my school. And I don't know. I think it's funny when like dudes who have left school talk about their school still. Yeah. But and like it's just so like American kind of vibes, but 100% I will take that. Yeah. And because I wear I will earn my school every single day. And it's funny when I say that I'm from that school, I get so much hate from random people. Yeah. Because they know that the energy that each Dub C boy has, and they see that Dub C boy is he conducts himself a certain way when it comes from school, kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh man! And in your time going through school, like you build quite a cool collective of the people there, and some of the stuff when you look back on it, you're just like, man, we will lose it. There are times where you have that, but the camaraderie that you have, when it's all happening, you just take that energy and just run with it. Yeah. Is that something that still is happens now when you're with a group of your school friends?
Yeah. So me and my school friends are still very close. There's I think there was only about like maybe 10 of us poly boys in my year.
Yeah.
So so we kind of all stayed close. And it's funny that you mentioned that because we had a Dub C reunion maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and it was for our Pacifico boys, and it was actually really cool. I mean, only a few of us came because we're not a big school when it comes to our brown community, but it was still cool just to kind of get back together and kind of reminisce on the days of the great days of Dub C. Yeah.
And now this is a school just like nearly every other school in New Zealand that benefits greatly from the input though of Polynesian boys, like Pacific boys in general, actually Pacific and Māori. So when you were going through school, like, did you notice? Were you just a Dub C boy and that was it, or did you notice that there was a divide between like the amount of brown people that you'd have at school and like Pākehā?
Oh yeah. As soon as I got to the school, I was like, this is why I didn't want to come to the school. Really? Yeah. Because there are hardly any brown faces. But in a way, it kind of worked out because the amount of because we were such a minority, we kind of grouped up to become
of course,
to slightly become the majority, and just like the energy and the impact that we had on the school, it didn't feel like there was like a few of us
for sure.
Like I think there was only 100 boys in total out of maybe like 1800, and 100 is still big, but that's 100 including the people who are like who don't really.
Sure.
So I don't know. So like when I got to Dub C, as much as I saw no brown faces, every day I went to school and kind of saw the impact that we made and was like, okay, it's not really about kind of the amount of people. It's about what we kind of make at the school. And
absolutely, like you do feel like you're outnumbered, and it's really easy to be discouraged by that. But at the same time, you see what you bring, and you're just like, no, I am important here. Like you actually feel like you are important because you're the difference that is coming into the school. No, that's cool. And then when you were going through school, was university always like one of the goals?
I had to come to uni because I had to move down here because I have to look after my nana for my first years of uni.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't really like a thing. It's just because uni was down here.
Yeah.
And my mom came through here and she did all of her academics here because my mom's a real academic. So. She always wanted me to go to this uni, but because my nana was down here, I was always going to come here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was just a thing where you knew that was the place you were going to go to, but you didn't quite know what you wanted to do?
Yeah, 100%. I knew that for the first few years of my uni life, it's not going to be much just because I'm going to dedicate that to my nana.
Yeah.
So a lot of my service was to her, and that's like I understand that my schooling wasn't prioritized, but I wouldn't have it any other way because, yeah.
Now that's something I want to get into because I've had a few conversations with people, like the how we prioritize what we think is important.
Yeah.
And how, like, if you were to just compare that with like a Pākehā way of thinking where like it's very individualistic. So like a lot of where my money would go and stuff, like if people found out about it, they'd just be like, why would you do that? Like you need to do all that. And I'm like, no, because that's not important for me right now. Yeah. Like this is what's important. So for you, like, were there ever times where you'd have like that internal dilemma between what's right and what's wrong, or did you always know that that's the priority, is to look after your family?
I'm not gonna lie, it was really challenging, and because it was really challenging, I always second guess myself. It was hard, like I didn't realize I kind of underestimated it coming down here, and I underestimated like looking after my nana, but like because it was really hard. But at the end of the day, I was like, okay, no, this is who I am, and I'm a brown person. She's brought me up with brown values, Pacific values, and I'm a person of culture. So, and I would rather invest in stuff that benefits me and my culture instead of kind of like what you're saying before, the individualistic ways of like kind of our Western society. And I see that, and I kind of saw the way they practice life, and I was like, I'm not too sure if that's kind of my kind of thing. So yeah, 100%. I would always choose my Pacific way.
And in doing that as well, like you never have to explain it to anyone because you don't have to. But when you were doing it, like, are you glad you did that? I think that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, did you have fulfillment in actually being part of that support?
100%. I always knew I was going to look after her. Yeah. Because my uncles and my aunties kind of gave me the task of coming down and looking after her. Yeah. So even though it was hard, it was there was a sense of fulfillment because of the fact that she kind of molded me and shaped me into the person I am.
Yeah.
So I think that the 2 years that I gave her is nothing compared to what she has given me for because not only did she help me grow up, she will help me in the future kind of way.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, it was really hard though. Like, not gonna kid, like, not gonna lie, it was real hard. It was real challenging, but yeah.
No, that's cool. That's really, really cool. Because I think when it comes to talking about, if you were to put stuff on a CV, like, people would train. They'll go through an entire degree to be able to do what you actually did, and like just provide that service to someone who's like at a different stage of their life. Like, people go through and then they can put that on their CV, but because it's not something that you trained for necessarily, like you didn't get a degree for it, but it's just something we do, and I'm fascinated by that because there are so many things that we do as brown people that is just normal. Yeah, that other people would easily like get paid for or put down on their CV, and we just do it because that's what we do. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Far out. But then what did you end up studying?
So I came down here and I first studied psychology, and then I switched after I moved away from my flat because to anthropology. Yeah. My mom, I'm studying anthropology and civic studies. So my mum kind of saw me kind of going in a bit of a slump when I was kind of looking after my nana, because as much as I was giving service to her, I wasn't kind of caring for myself at the same time. So when I moved out of my flat, that's why I kind of like changed majors to get like a fresh start. Yeah. So I moved out maybe my third year, and
What was the reason behind starting with psych?
I have no clue, to be honest. Maybe it was a couple movies I watched, but it was a long time ago. It felt like years ago. Oh, well, it was years ago, but it felt like a whole lifetime ago that I was doing lab reports for psychology. So. And
then you went into Anth because, like, what drove you there?
I went to Anth because my mum wanted me to take the fastest route to graduation. Yeah, right. And I went up to ask a target, and I was like, "What is the fastest route right now?" And they were like, "Anthropology, Pacific Studies." And I was like, "Okay, I'll take anthropology." And then eventually I took Pacific Studies as a double major too. Yeah. Just to kind of be like, yeah.
But in terms of your learnings, like, are you enjoying it?
Yeah, 100%. I think I would have kind of enjoyed like heaps of areas of study. It's just finding the enjoyment of kind of what you study, and with anthropology, I've kind of found enjoyment in learning about other cultures and other perspectives, like how we were saying before, how we kind of like see the Western society like function. It's cool seeing other societies function and like other worldviews. Yeah.
No, that's so cool. I think, and then obviously being a person who has a wider perspective on how the world should work because you grew up in cultural values as well. Do you find that when you're learning about other indigenous populations and whatnot, that we have so many similarities with it?
Yeah, 100%. There are heaps of similarities, like especially with like Asian countries. Yeah. And that's just because we came from there a long time ago. But like and I find it cool to know that there are other cultures out there besides the Western one that we're sort of like that's so dominated. Yeah.
And now speaking, I mean, you just brought up Asian culture, and then I know your side thing. If you could be anything else, or if you could dedicate all your time to something, it would be probably like anime and all that sort of stuff.
100%. I'm a big anime fan.
So tell us how that started and like why, because it takes up so much of your time.
Yeah, 100%. Oh man, I can talk about anime for years. But I'm so glad you put that up actually now. But yeah, so it started when I was so I've always been into anime. But that's because I've been surrounded by kind of a bit of Japanese kind of like culture in my life. But anime was like, because I was so introverted, because I couldn't hardly talk. Well, anime became my friend in a way. And I remember going to school because I didn't have Wi-Fi growing up. Because on Struggle Street, as we all are on Struggle Street. So we didn't have Wi-Fi growing up, so I would always go into school and I would download my anime and download my manga and go home, and that's what I would do. That was my daily routine every time I went to school. And when it came to a Friday, I would download like so much anime so it could take me through the weekend. Yeah. Because at home there was just nothing to do besides just watch anime. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that was that, because when I did the Struggle Puffs episode ages ago, like I put it out to everyone, and you were that person who said going into school so that I could download everything I need to.
Yeah, like I legit went to school to download everything just because and that's legit just because of the struggle. And honestly, seeing other people struggle puff was actually really cool because I don't know, as you grow older, like you kind of like grow a great appreciation for the struggle that you went through. Like, I really appreciate the struggle that I went through, just because it kind of helped me realize to be grateful, or helped me realize to be grateful and appreciative of what I have and what I don't, and not what I don't have. So like, I don't know, like, it was hard back then now, because I wouldn't last a day without Wi-Fi on my phone right now, but back then somehow I did it for like my whole life. So yeah,
that's what I always like, and that's what I think I wanted to get to the root of that like episode, was that our parents were so good at like not making you feel like we're struggling. Like if I was going through that right now and I had children, like I'd be breaking down every day.
100%. But and it was cool because they just kind of made their own creative ways to kind of hide the fact that we're struggling, and we knew we were struggling, like as every other kid does, because you look at other kids and they have a lot more than you do. But I think growing up, I was just so happy with what I had, and just happy with what my parents are doing, what they were providing. As long as I have a roof over my head and my family next to me, then I'm grateful for everything.
For sure. And then you're talking about being an introverted kid, because I was one of those as well. Super introverted, but I was so interested in a lot of things that like extroverts were into. Going to have to play sport, all that sort of stuff. Like, you need to go to training, you need to go meet people you've never met before, and it's a lot of energy. But then you also have to do the physical aspect of it. Like, were you still kind of engaging in all those activities as well, or did you through high school pretty much just like shut yourself off?
The first 3 years I did. I was just completely shut off from a lot of people. I only had maybe like 2 friends maybe, and I wouldn't see them during the weekends. I'll just go home, or like school friends. And then when it kind of came to my year 12, year 11, that's when I kind of started to kind of experience what extroverts do. Like I joined a poly group. I did sports, and like I just kind of expanded my friend group. Like I did that because I saw how much fun it was and how it affected other people. So I was like, might as well give it a go. But at every practice, at every training, I was the most quietest dude, just kind of like just chilling in the corner, unless it was around people that I was more so comfortable with.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a couple of ways you can go about it. You either have to go with a bunch of friends, or you have to like, because it's so hard now to be in a team sport and not like give input, which I hate doing. Like I hate the rhetorical question, or even like the question where we're like watching some video analysis and they're like, so what do you think we should do here? And you're just like,
and you just like sit there and you're like, oh, why don't you just give us the answer?
Do you know what you want to say? But with that, and then even like the amount of energy that it takes to put a face on, and to front everything, like that is hard. I always go back and I'm just so exhausted.
And when you get home, you don't realize how much of a mental toll it took on you until you get home, and then just drained. I'm just like fully drained and exhausted, and it's crazy being exhausted, like just from going out and doing nothing with other people.
For sure.
Like you go out and basically just go watch a movie. It's not like you did physical activity. And you go home and then I'm done for the rest of the day.
Exactly. And that's stuff that like people who are naturally extroverted, when they like figure out, when they you go home, you're like, oh, I just need to go like lay down for a bit, and they're like, well, we did nothing, and you're like, no, I did everything.
My social battery cannot handle too much. I mean, it's way better now, but
and that's something that I found really cool about you, and like getting to know you, because you like put yourself out there even more and more. So if people don't know, you also were the president of the Otago Samoan Students Association, which across all the Pacific, like I'm not saying that there are better ones and bigger ones, but this is one of the bigger ones with Tonga as well, the Tongan students. And there's a lot of organising, there's a lot of community stuff you have to do. So you you become the face of a bunch of that, and that's like an introvert's nightmare.
So I hated it.
Why did you put your hand up to do it?
I think as I was talking before coming down here, I didn't have many friends. I think I only came down here, had one friend, which was Elam. So I came down here and I lived with him. But I lived with him though, so it was like not really a friend. It was like your brother. But and then so the only thing that got me out of the house was also I did Sortanga in 2019. I did that because my mate was a president then. Shout out Josh. But so he was a president then, and he kind of forced me to come out of my shell a bit, and like that made me so like the whole experience was the greatest, and still is the highlight of my kind of uni life so far, and and that's kind of why I wanted to kind of become the president or like just give something back also because of the service that they have given to me. Yeah, I don't know, because my first 2 years I was just stuck in my house. The only time I would go out would be for rugby, and eventually it became also stuff, and it kind of gave me a whole new crowd and kind of gave me the friends that I can see myself going down
For sure.
life with, and
Because I think that's the other side of introverts, is that when you are comfortable with a group of people, and like as long as they all know what you're like it's very easy to appear extroverted. Because I get told so many times, they're like, "Wow, you're like, how you can't be an introvert?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but do you notice I only hang out with the same people all the time?"
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that gave you like a sense of security.
So my friends were a lot of the reason why I became president, because I had them on my exec. Because they were going for an exec position, and so I knew that with their support, I'm able to like do everything to my full capabilities.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to hold myself back, because I'm around the people that I'm most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so I owe a lot to my exec this year, for just being amazing. But yeah.
And like so going for pres. So had you been a couple of exec positions before that?
Yeah. So 2020 I was a social rep for OSA.
Yep.
And 2021 I was the executive coordinator for Wopisa.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's right. Yes. So, sorry, just for the other people who are listening. So there's OSA that we're talking about, which is Otago Samoan Students Association. Wopisa is the OUSA equivalent, but Pacific, right?
Yeah.
So University of Otago Pacific Island Students Association,
exactly.
which is like the overarching Pacific student association that all of the Pacific student associations report to. Yeah. So you went over.
Yeah.
How'd you get into the big league?
So it was actually funny. I was thinking about that while I was outside. They had like a leadership weekend.
Yeah.
They asked me to come in and talk about my experience as a social rep.
Right.
And I gave them terrible experiences, because I was a terrible social rep. Like, I will own that, and I remind myself every day that I was a terrible social rep. But like going into that, they asked me to be a part of the exec. They surprised me, and they actually had SGM to vote in their new executive coordinator. And as soon as I seen the PowerPoint slide of SGM, I was like, that's why I'm here.
Right.
Because they need to fill a position.
Yeah.
And so, so it was actually Cam that told me to go for the position. And I had to think about it for a while, just because I looked at the people on the exec and I was so intimidated by them. It's like, I have no place next to those people.
Right.
Like, that's kind of what I was thinking. But eventually I went for it. And I know the whole year I just became a sponge, just kind of absorbing everything that they do and also trying to help wherever I can. But just like the fact that I had so many powerhouses on the exec, I just it was just amazing to watch and just contribute to the cause as well.
No, that's cool. And I do think like it makes everything else seem like slow. What I always say is like we used to notice it like when our Highlanders would come back and play with us.
Yeah.
Like you look at it and you're like, they look like they're playing in like everything's slow motion.
Yeah.
That's because you've gone up and you've got like a bigger experience of what it's like to operate at a higher engine room. Then you come back and you're like, So like to be a president after that, you'd be like, okay. Tell what's social? Well, I mean, sorry, what was terrible about you as a social?
I was in a bit of a slump, as I was mentioning before, with my first 3 years of uni, where I was just kind of going through a bit of like a bit of like a depression phase.
Yeah.
And with that, I didn't give my full give my full self to the role, and so I always think back to what I could have done. And that made me this year to kind of, with a new attitude and a new approach to the year, just have no regrets and just to, give full service to the students. But I just didn't really do anything. That's it. As much as, like, it's funny when I think back to it, but because my other social rep was Vika Pukala.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so she was my VP this year. So, we were kind of like a duo back then and do it now. But, I was a bit more useful nowadays. So.
But, like, at last year, was it at AGM when you got voted in as pres?
Yeah.
Did anyone bring up the first year?
No.
Okay.
Nobody brought it up. Because I don't know if anybody knew how useless I was.
Okay.
I was just there with a smile on my face.
Yeah,
like fronting up. But
Unreal. Yeah, and part of that, I think, were you also the one responsible for all of like the pretty much the graphics and like all the images that were coming out?
Yeah. So the merch posts have been done by Ella Rooney, and she's done some other posts, but majority of them, I kind of make.
And now this is a really cool place to take it, because you have a very like distinct style.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when you see it, it's very like it's the pop culture of now, but it's scrapbooky. Like, where did you come up with that design?
So Vainui actually taught me how to do it on Photoshop, and then I just kind of added my own aesthetic to it, and I just kind of did my own self. Yeah. So I kind of so I've just been piecing stuff together, but like I love just incorporating like funny memes and pop culture stuff, like you were saying before, just in it, because I think it gives such like a human touch.
Yeah.
Because like I think when a lot of people see posts from associations, they kind of it's kind of robotic.
Yeah.
Like like that's kind of the feel they give off. So so like when I want to do it, I want to make it so relatable. And
Yeah, because that like as soon as you see them, you know, like, oh, you must have done these.
Yeah.
Because like it looks like scrapbook. It looks like some of the images that are there could be like, you know, when you're year 8 or something, you have to like, can you do a poster of your name, and you'll like find the letters for your name, cut out things that you like, and you'll put it on the poster.
Yeah.
But now you've got that, but in digital form for posts. With all of that, did you find that like the engagement or people coming to you, even though that's not really your main role?
Yeah.
Did you find that like it quickly became your thing?
Yeah. So when I started doing it, we had a vacant position this year, and it was our PR role.
Yeah.
But we all agreed, my whole exec agreed, that we didn't need one because I was already there, and it was kind of cool because like as a president, I get to post whatever I want.
Sure.
So as a president PR, no one's going to dispute me posting.
Yeah.
Of course, within boundaries, but so that's why I've been posting. That's also more posts on Os's page, and I like to think that's why they're winning. But so I think it's just I think it's cool to like just to put like those posts out, and just like in like my own style as well, because a lot of the posts are kind of a bit I'm not a fan of a lot of the other posts.
100%.
So kind of just putting my own like flavor to it.
Because if I was to put it out there now, like it is so, there was a clear. To me, it seems like there's a clear vision of what you want to achieve, like what you want to get across with the post, with a little bit of like personal touch as well. Yeah. And when you were introducing the exec, even like it was kind of done so answering a sequence of questions.
Yeah.
So is that all stuff that you're coming up with as well to get like things across about people, or?
So the introduction to the exec ones were actually Ella, and I actually loved that. Yeah. Because but like I think just getting that feel of Ossa, and like the whole feel of welcoming, and just like and just that bond that we have together is a big thing, because your posts are the face of your, like, they're the first thing that people are going to see. Yeah. They're the first thing that people are going to interact with when they see Ossa. So so creating posts, I always had it in mind to make it nice, make it warm. Yeah.
And hilarious.
Yeah, and funny as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm a big LeBron James fan, if you look at our page, I would always post up LeBron James somewhere, because man, I think LeBron James is the man. Yeah. And and I just and it's cool being present PR, because you just have the power to post just what you want.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Like, even if it's the stories and you're just watching the stories, and it'll just be like you said, a random picture of LeBron James, like with a fake quote, and but buy the merch or something like that. Yeah, it's hilarious. And then from that, so do you find that when you're doing it though, because it's so much fun, like time just flies and you're just like happy to make it? Yeah.
So it was really cool that I was able to make it, because it's something that I like anyways. Yeah. It didn't feel as much like admin. Like, I know a lot of the time for a lot of other people it would have felt like admin, because it's like it can be dreadful sometimes making posts. So yeah.
No, absolutely, and it's away from the freaking Canva ones that everyone's doing. Like, a couple flowers there. It's like, also, this is just like off topic, but when you are booking something in the main common room at OUSA, what is that lounge called?
The Everson Lounge.
Everson, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, because other people call it the E-Vision Lounge. Well, honestly, I'm guilty of that too. Until last year, until I actually saw the name, and I was like, wait, that doesn't look like E-Vision.
I laugh every time. Like, I give full credibility to anyone who writes it and it says Everson. I'm like, yes, but I think because once one person did E-Vision, after that everyone called it E-Vision. Anyway, that's a little bit of local banter.
No, that's funny as.
And now, last year, wait, last year you were almost one of the most dedicated Broncos because on your 21st you had a Lamborghini Broncos cake.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't want that, but I'm a Bronco forever. But we'll talk about that later. But like as soon as I seen the cake, I was like, oh no. And then I think that weekend I got the cake, or the weekend before, maybe 2 weekends before was when they named the team.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and when I didn't get named, I was like, oh man.
That's right.
Yeah. And then I eventually got hit up and got told that there was a mistake and I was on the team, but and then I had that cake and I was like, oh, I wish I could be, a star player with that cake.
Yeah. Hard out. Because I remember coming in and the team was named. And then later that night, we all came back up and no one was there. Everyone, all the people who weren't, that was awkward. That was really awkward when they named it. And then we all went downstairs. Then we came back up and no one was there. And then was it like Johnny Taps was just lecturing you on what you need to do to make the team?
So of course, Johnny Taps is like my older brother down here. But man, that guy, bro, he came to my house.
We came straight after.
Yeah, we came straight after. And I was just in my bed because I could not be bothered doing anything. And after not getting named, I was just down in the dumps, and I was like, I could understand why I didn't get named. But at the same time, I was, I'm still gutted about it. And I just looked at the other boys, and I was like, I think I feel like I should be there. But when he came and lectured me, it was like, oh, just making it worse. And not only that, he was in my ear, barking in my ear, and I was like, oh my goodness, bro, please stop, you're making it worse. It's actually sad. He just reminded me again. And because Johnny Taps was the captain, I was like, oh, that's, just thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. But no, yeah, I think he, eventually he got into my head. And yeah, eventually he kind of pulled through.
Well, he's the reason a lot of us went from good to great.
Yeah.
Because of his dedication to a lot of things, and we took that on board. And then something you told me last year was because we were in the same boat a lot, kind of named, kind of not.
Yeah, 100%.
And then around the team, but then not around the team.
Yeah.
But then you said to me last year, you're like, because one thing you do, and you know that you do, is that towards the end of the season you start to drop off.
Yeah.
And then that you were saying, no, next season I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then when you told me you were the OSA president, I was like, hold on, wait, this guy said he was going to commit the whole year, but you did this year, and you got regular playing time.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming for you.
Yeah.
To get your tie was years.
Yeah.
Because you'd be in, you'd be out, and then you'd have to go through stuff and come out. For you, did you feel being able to come and get regular playing time was it actually felt like you deserved it and earned it?
Yeah. 100%. Because the first time I got named in the Prem's team was my second year.
Right.
So I've been in the Prem's team for a while now, but I think I was supposed to be a developing player of some sort.
Sure.
And low key looking back, I did not deserve to get named because I was useless as. But over the season, as we're talking about John Tats before, he kind of forced me to train, and I trained every day throughout the whole of summer, and I kind of felt like I earned that role to be on the field.
Yeah.
Because eventually when you put on that jersey, you have to earn that right. So wear that jersey, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to achieve. And I remember, and I kept that feeling of not getting named and I'm not getting playing time, and I kept that feeling within me. And I studied the game more. I went out and I trained harder, and then eventually came back. And when I got more game time, I was pretty happy. But obviously when I started, I was, when you start, you're happy as. Yeah. But when you start for the club that you have been growing up for, that's it's just a new thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And now we'll go through. I reckon you had the hardest slog of nearly anyone that I have dealt with in this team. I've never ever been individually pulled out, and not just at training and stuff. I'm talking during the game. So just for those listening, right? It's pouring down with rain. We're playing GI, I think, and we weren't playing poorly. But our coach comes on, takes the forwards aside, and we're all standing there, and he was just like, I'll be honest, that's the worst effort I've seen from any team in my entire career. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fair enough. We're playing pretty trash out there. I'm like, oh yeah, it's been alright. It's been back and forth. He goes in on Ma'ole for at least like 6 straight minutes saying like, you better, what was his actual words?
He asked me if I wanted to be on the field.
That's right.
And I looked at him and I was like, why do you think I'm on the field then? And then he was, do you want to be on the field? And I was like, yes. But he wanted me to scream it out, like, you know, like have some conviction in my voice. But I was like, you know, I have a stutter, right? Remember this? Like, I was confused. I was torn. And I was like, and at every training, every single time, every game, he would always be barking at me. And I'm like, bro, what? Why me? Like, why are you picking on me, bro?
Do you remember when we did the down ups and like, he was like, we were hitting it, and he was like, "Is that how fast you could do it? You told me you wanted to play Prem."
Yes, bro. That was, yes. And there was another time where I was on the field and I was talking to someone in the crowd, and he's like, "Ma'ole, focus." Or there was another time on the field where he's just screaming at me, and I'm like, "Oh, what did I do?"
Well, it'll be like we make a tackle, and you're like on the ground for a split
Yeah,
second.
bro, that happens to me all the time. I'm on the ground for like 2 seconds, or like not even 2 seconds, like half a second, and he tells me I'm too slow, or like get up off the ground and start swearing at me. I'm like, bro, come on. Everybody else, I see people out, I see people on the floor longer than me. Like, why are you pointing me out all the time?
Yeah, I've put it down to the fact that he just wants you to be great.
You know, I really hope that's a fact. If not, then he doesn't like me. That's what it is.
But it's that's hilarious, and it's funny because like you'll hear no other names. Everyone's doing the exact same thing, and you just hear Ma'ole.
Yeah, I remember one time at training, he ripped into me for nothing, and I was like, what? I was doing the right thing, so I was going through structure and everything, and I was going into my right pod, and then he decides to rip into me for not putting in enough effort. But I was like, I'm here. Like, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not, you know, Superman. Yeah. But eventually he told me he's only hard on me because he thinks I can be, you know, a lot better than.
Of course.
Yeah. So so like that, you know, the fact that he did that was, you know, was real cool, and the fact that he was a lot more harder on me than anybody else, it kind of like it kind of gave me like an edge to, you know, become better, because, you know, it was either kind of a sink or swim situation. Yeah. And you know, I was barely floating. For the words that he gave me, I was barely floating. You know, he had a son in the team too, and he didn't even want to, you know, mock the son too much. Yeah. Just mocked me the whole time, or just shredded me the whole time, roasted me, bro. But eventually, kind of, you know, his words got into me, and yeah. No,
that was my favorite. And like, what I was actually gonna ask is like, because I was sitting and I was like, if he calls me out, I might just cry. Like, how did you like stay focused and not like think, oh gosh, I just want to walk off right now?
Was this at the Green Island?
At the Green Island one.
Oh no, bro, I felt so stink. Because I tell you what's funny is that, are we allowed to swear on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So D-Ball came up to me and he gave me a water, and he said, and he said, your coach said to take your finger out of your ass, otherwise he's going to take you off the field. This was the first 5 minutes of the game. First 5 minutes. Nobody else said nothing. But first 5 minutes, I get caught out, and I'm like, bro, what? And then that's when he told me at halftime, he's like, Ma'ole, get your finger out of your ass. And I was like, I haven't heard that in my life. And I was like, who does? Like, who says that kind of stuff? And I was like thinking to myself, like, I don't know how to react here. Like, and then I played the second half, and I came off the second half. He gave me a massive handshake, and he was like, man, you played amazing the second half. And I was like, yes. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, man, that was, gosh. I mean, that the ending of that game was such an awesome feeling. But that was like, honestly, I think I'm way too sensitive to have got like the bark that you got in that entire time. The questions, like when someone asks you a question like that, you're like, wait, am I meant to answer? Or am I just like, okay, I'll let that sink in? But like, I would have cried.
Yeah, it happened the whole season too, and I was like, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I don't know. The fact that it happened the whole season, it kind of was a big kind of testament to his belief. Yeah. So I think that's why I kind of, you know, went with a chip on my shoulder each game, knowing that, you know, if I don't believe in myself, then someone, you know, he does. So,
no, that's so cool. That is so cool. And rugby for you, like, is it just something that you enjoy doing, or has it become something that you like really want to put a lot of time and effort into, or do you just like having it on the side?
So it was something on the side. So obviously, before you were saying that I haven't spent a whole season at AU, that's probably a lot of the reason why I didn't get my tie, because I just kind of dropped off. Yeah. And I only played maybe like one game each season, and I just didn't turn up to trainings again. But moving forward, like you start to realize that this can become a thing, that this is like, you know, that this is a future that you could, you know, think of have, or like, you know, that's But I think it's easier to think of that when it's more attainable.
Yeah.
Now that it's more attainable, it's just like, yeah, you got to go all in.
Yeah.
That's why next year I'm just kind of dedicating the whole thing to kind of like, going all in for rugby. But, see how it goes, Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. And I think putting a lot of time into it, and you enjoy it more. Like, when there's no fun in being unfit, there's no fun in like not having the skills to be able to enjoy it. There's no fun in like showing up all the time and just like being on the bench for majority of the game. So like once you start giving everything and then like feeling like you're actually contributing something to the team, like it's the best feeling.
Yeah. It was like, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling, especially that first game we won.
Yeah.
I still, I was watching that game before as on a study break.
Yeah.
And I remember the feeling of us just winning and like us like playing good and us like just like us being all on the same page like during it, and it felt so good. It just felt so good to win actually.
Yeah. No, that game was unbelievable. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Nah. Everything about that game was like I could watch that multiple times and not cringe at all. Yeah. But then every other game after that, like there's something that you just pick out.
Oh, like, I hate watching myself. I just like, it's like one of those things how you like just hate seeing yourself on another screen
or hearing yourself, hearing your voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hearing your voice too. And it's like, I look back at the other games and it was just so cringe. And I was like, I cannot watch myself.
Yeah. And now. Just actually, it wasn't just our one coach that would call you out as well. Remember we had that defense system, and we were all sitting around in the club rooms. Yeah. Liam Coltman's in the room.
Yeah.
And then
and I get called out for being in like a position where I'm trying to take a tackle.
The half kneeling position.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did that because I wanted to smash the other dude.
Yeah.
And he reckons that no. And I was like thinking to myself. I look back at the clip. I was one of the only people in the defensive line.
Yeah.
Because everybody else...
There was like just you and no one else.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself like, surely you just, let me do what I'm trying to do, because I really, I looked at the other person, I really wanted to smash him. So like that's the kind of position that I don't know, somehow I've taken.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, when we're on the line too, we go on knees as well. So I was like, well, why not,
Sure.
Why not in the middle of the field?
Yeah. And I have to extend an apology as well. I watched later in that game. Remember how I told you should have offloaded and I would have scored?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that guy was definitely on me.
Nah. I remember looking and I was like, oh, maybe I should have given it. But but I mean, who knows, bro? I would have backed your speed, bro. I would have given that to you.
I think he was on me before you passed the ball.
Yeah.
He started speeding up, and I was like, in my mind, I was well clear.
Yeah.
But if you had passed it, he would have been on me straight away. So I was like, yeah, all good. But I gave you an earful. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're all good. And that was the game. That was the game where our strength and conditioning coach screamed at me.
Oh, really?
Remember when he screamed at me? He came on the field and he screamed at me.
Did he as well?
Yeah. Oh. He was screaming at me because I made maybe 2-3 runs in a row, and I take a small break.
Yeah.
It's barely.
Oh, that's right. It's like how much do you want it?
Yeah. And then he swears at me, and I'm looking around. There's other people around me that haven't run the ball, but are still taking a break with me, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, come on, why me?
Every time.
It was just a common theme. And before that game, the other coach came up to me and said that you need to play good, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah.
No, it's the funniest thing. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. We're training hard for next year. Hopefully, we don't know where it could take us. We don't know where any of us will be, but it just put in the training anyway. And we've got a really cool crew down here who we all play for different teams, but we're all just there to get better because we know that if we get better, the quality of rugby overall in Otago gets better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to next year, especially with the moving of the clubs. So we'll see how it goes.
Hold on. we come back. All right. So you've dropped it in the last 10 minutes. So moving of the clubs.
So next year I'm moving to varsity just because my dad's the coach there.
Yep.
And it's an opportunity where you don't normally get coached by your dad. So
that's cool.
I always wanted to be coached by him. And I never really saw myself leaving AU. I always told my parents that I'm dying in the maroon and gold colours.
Yeah.
Because it was my attitude. And now I have to change the attitude because I'm going to another club. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a change of scene, but have to work extra hard. Have to earn that, earn it just as hard to make my mark. And it's going to be weird playing AU though. So see how that goes.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be good fun. And like I said before, it's all about just growing the profile, especially of our Pacific people playing down here in Dunedin.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's still very dominated. Actually, no, there are more and more brown faces now, but like if we can all spread out and it's like lift the profile of different teams and people can see, like that's a cool contribution.
Yeah.
And this summer, so we needed to get you in this week because you're heading off, so this is the last topic before we get into the last question. But tell us about your internship over summer.
So I got an internship, lucky I got an internship. I got an internship at Suncorp, which is a insurance place, and I'm with Astron Life Insurance. So I'll be handling like their claims and service there. So I'm pretty lucky and I'm real grateful. It's just a step foot in the door in terms of the corporate world.
Yep.
And I'm really grateful, and it's just something that I'm planning to give back to my community somehow.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be cool, but I'm real nervous for it. I'm so scared for it just because I have nothing to do with insurance.
Yeah.
And I told them this. I was like, "Are you sure you want me on board? I study anthropology and Pacific Studies. That has nothing to do with insurance." And he was like, "Nah." He's like, "No, you're all good."
I was just about to ask that. I was like, "Wait, hold on. Did you do some sort of like commerce degree or something like?"
No, I didn't do anything, but they wanted me on, so so I'm quite lucky to be on.
Yeah. And how did that opportunity come about?
So I went through Tuputoa, and and it was cool, and their system was cool, and they have a lot of lovely people on board, and I made it just as easy just to kind of make myself and put myself out there.
For sure. And why? So when you got the opportunity, or you had heard of the opportunity, was there anyone before you who told you should do it, or was it just something that you thought you needed to take the leap and do?
I saw other people doing it.
Yeah.
But I always thought doing an internship would be cool.
Yeah.
So and then so I just kind of took the leap myself, and I wanted to kind of grow in another area. And just kind of searching for that growth within the corporate world is what I wanted, and just and it's all about kind of slowly growing up and facing the fact that I'm gonna be old soon.
Yeah.
So I have to get on my feet. I have to,
Yeah. No, the more experiences like this you can get, and it's weird because like when I start to reflect on my life, and there were little things that I do, they didn't seem like big things. I was really, really nervous to do it, but then when you it was like we were talking about before. When you go up and then you come back down. Everything seems so easy. It's like you're playing on easy because you're just like, I've been at the hardest stage. Yeah. And then you're coming back, you're like,
exactly. So when I was with Upisa, I went back to Osa, and it felt so good just to be able to know what you're doing. And so and so we had a lot of events this year, and we hosted a lot of students, and we spent a lot of money. But it was just cool to be able to give service back to the students, and but know in the back of my head that I know what I'm doing because of my previous experience. And that's kind of what I'm trying to find out here.
For sure. No, the more experiences you can get in a controlled environment where these people aren't going to roast you all the time because like they know you're coming through as an intern. Yeah, like it's not going to be you're going for a job and then everything relies on you.
Yeah, which is really cool. So they know that I'm kind of still developing within the role, and I really just want to do coffee runs in the morning. I just want to be that guy that brings in coffee. I can be funny as.
Yeah, and what's the attire? So
it's like semi-formal attire. Have to buy some more clothes so I can suit it. But right now, just mix and matching what I have. Might wear my Jordans sometimes.
All right, I feel that. Wait, actually, one more question before we get into the final one. So how we're talking about Pacific culture. This year at AU was probably the first time any of us wore ears like after the game.
100%.
And majority of us did. Like, do you think that that's gonna be a growing part of pretty much anything here?
Like anything here isn't
like just incorporating more and more Pacificness.
Oh yeah,
because we just said we were gonna do it. Like, we looked at the uniform thing like as part of our contracts, and it just said black pants. Yeah. And then we all just wore the
contracts. I think because our Pacific people have such impact, we earn that right to bring our culture into their spaces. Yeah. I heard something before where we're not here to de-Westernise a space. Yep. We're here to indigenize it. True. So that's kind of like that's where I see our people going, and like I love the fact that we just it's those small little things that make it so cool. Yeah. That make our diverse like society like even more diverse and more accepting. And I would have loved to see like not just Pacific cultures but other cultures as well. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's so cool.
No, that was a really cool part of this year, and I think we all got on board. Like there were probably more people wearing Lava Lava than there were pants.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, towards the end of the season, nearly everyone had one.
Yeah, and it was cool. I'm still trying to get the other bro for doing that, for wearing one, but it was actually really cool seeing everybody kind of just like encourage it and embrace it, even the ones that weren't even from the Pacific.
For sure, yeah. And then we're going into our final question. It's the question I ask everyone on this podcast: is what is something that you do every day or close to every day that makes you feel like you've optimized the day?
I pray.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try. I do. I pray every day. At night before I go to bed, and I just say what I'm thankful for, and and that's some stuff that my nana has installed in me. Sorry for going back to the topic, I think growing up, my nana and papa were probably the biggest kind of pillars in my life. So they installed in me the power of prayer, and we used to I do a prayer every single night. And when it was just me and her there, and my auntie still keeps, so I would care for her, and I'd do like all her like needs and stuff. But at the end of the day, no matter what state she was in, like no matter how tired you were, or like no matter where you were, like you had to do a prayer. And so looking after my nana, I grew a great appreciation for kind of like just praying and just having creating that relationship with God, and so I'm really grateful for my nan for that, and I miss my nan every day.
No, that's a really cool thing. And do you, like, as part of that prayer, do you feel like it's something that connects you back to all those those connections that you had? I pray that my nan and my papa looking over me like right now, and I pray that kind of everything I do kind of knowing that I'm trying to make them proud. I'm trying to kind of blossom and kind of sprout from the foundation of the soil that they laid for me. And 100%. Like I miss them every day, and that's kind of some way I can connect with them, because not having them here on the physical plane is like the most terrible thing, because you're so connected with them and you're so close with them. But and just having that ability to pray that they have taught me just makes me kind of feel close to them again. And I don't know. That's cool, man. That's such a cool place to take it. And I think everything about today, like the way that you've grown up, the way that you've looked back at the world, it's all because of those people who raised you.
Yeah.
And it's all because of those people. And you may never know whether or not like it's something that you're taught at the time, but then later on you start realizing like, that's what it meant. Like,
I always used to think my nana was some crazy lady watching WWE every single night. And then because me and her used to watch WWE all the time, and and I always thought to myself like, man, you're weird, bro. What kind of lady laughs at people getting hurt and then goes to pray after? And then I think just having that ability just to like reflect back on on the village that has raised me and shaped me to be the person I am today, it kind of makes me want to be better and be the best version of myself.
No, that's cool, man. And there's going to be a lot of people who want that for you as well. All the best for your summer.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to hearing about how that all goes. And,
100%.
And I hope that you do get some good learnings, that when you come back next year, you're refreshed and ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. Have a whole new year, eh?
Yeah, man.
It's going to be different, but be cool.
Appreciate your time, brother.
No, thank you very much for having me.